Nutting should sell the team. Nutting has not been the right steward for this team. He has not been the right fit for this city or its fan base. All of that can be 100% true while also acknowledging other stuff. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. It's hard to imagine that anybody listening to this program wouldn't already be aware of the news this past weekend that state and local leaders, including almost the entirety of the local business community and foundations and so forth, teamed up to put together a plan, a $600 million commitment to helping downtown Pittsburgh continue its ongoing and very real, I should add, revitalization. Within that, Governor Josh Shapiro, who was the architect of this, approached all three of Pittsburgh's big league teams and sought $1 million contribution for each. You can say what you want about pro sports, but $1 million is $1 million, right? Well, all three teams contributed something, and two of the three teams, the Pirates and the Steelers, went the whole way with $1 million. In parentheses, I have no idea what the Penguins put in or why they wouldn't have contributed the entire amount, other than that they're owned by Boston people now who I'm sure couldn't give a crap about the heart and soul of our region, end parentheses. And nutting, from what I'm told, not by the team, but from all the many people that I know from my own efforts as both a business owner and a resident downtown, he went extra. He did a lot more, as he always does with his charitable efforts with the Pirates charity stuff and so forth. He doesn't just sit somewhere and commit the money. He goes out and gets involved. He's at all of those Miracle League things. And you, again, listen, I know the crowd to which I'm speaking here, okay? And I know that you're going to roll your eyes and whatever else, and you can say, of course he's doing that. They have cameras there and whatever else, except that I've seen him. I've been around him when he does these things, and he's way, way invested in what it is that he's doing. And with this downtown project, he was instrumental in bringing up certain mental health initiatives and other things that the Pirates, with their partnership through Allegheny General Hospital, could contribute. And I'm not going to bore you with all this, okay? The path to the very best part of the inside of me is to do something for downtown. My wife, Dolly, and I are completely committed in every way. Just sharing everything here with you, full disclosure. And for Nutting to take the extra steps that he did in this process, again, stuff that I was told by people outside the organization, outside the Pirates, that reminds me of a lot of the very, very, very good things that I've seen about Nutting as a human being. The only stuff that ever makes me cringy about discussions about management or ownership and selling the team and even the profit component and anything else, you can criticize whatever it is that you want. Heaven knows I'm doing it on this program almost daily. But to me, where it crosses the line with this individual is when it gets personal, because he's just, I know this doesn't fit with what everybody wants to be the convenient narrative. It's just not a bad guy at all. I could share some personal stories with you too. And well, I'm wasting my time here. I get that. Okay. It just feels like it's the right thing to do. And it's the right context in which to have all of these conversations, because the bottom line, no pun intended, of being an owner in Major League Baseball is that you have to be good at running things. You have to be good at hiring people. You have to be good at creating and administering an aura of accountability. And you have to be willing, no, not willing, eager to take risks. That doesn't mean putting the franchise in jeopardy. It does mean that if you spent $100 million on payroll from 2013 to 2016, and those were the most profitable seasons, not revenue size. I'm not talking about how much money came in. I'm talking about actual profit here. Those were the most profitable seasons of your ownership tenure. And the only reason you haven't done it since then is because it's not sitting right in front of you. That's risk averse at a level that no sports team can succeed with. You just can't. You just can't. He doesn't have the right personality for this. And yes, the team would be much better off if he sells it. But that doesn't have to come with all the other stuff. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from my man Kinger, who's a part of this group that's protesting the Bob Nutting ownership. And by that, I don't necessarily mean boots on the ground. There are people who are, I'm told, contributing from all kinds of different places in all kinds of different ways. And Kinger shares with me, DK, I'm astounded in a disappointing way at the lazy, hopeless social media warriors dogging on these protests and other initiatives in play. I honestly didn't expect it. What a miserable group of people. I'd certainly be embarrassed if I were one of you. DK, why do these other quote-unquote fans feel the need to rain on this parade that's objectively picking up steam in the last few weeks alone? Well, Kinger, they're not going to like this answer. And please take this from somebody who, largely out of necessity, but partially for fun, spends a significant amount of time on social media. Yeah, and a lot of that's promotional and whatever, but, you know, I'm not like above social media or something, and I don't want this response to come across that way. But what we've become somewhat, to some degree, as a society is curiously convinced that we can change the world from our keyboards. And it doesn't work like that. It doesn't happen like that anywhere. And that applies in all directions. That applies whether you're supportive of something or you're against something else. It's always still the human voice and the human presence that counts. Not to keep going off on a rail today, but if you look at the nation of Georgia overseas and the street protests that are going on there right now regarding a vote they had over the weekend and the controversial outcome and count and whatever else here, there's a gazillion people out in those streets. It freezes everything. It freezes anything that the active government wants to do. And as such, I mean, it forces things to, go one way or the other. For many years around here, too many years, people have just said, there's nothing we can do regarding the Pirates. There's nothing we can do. And so they'll complain about Bob Nutting. They'll complain about Ben Cherington. They'll complain about Derek Shelton. They'll do it all online. And they'll do almost none of that in a visible or vocal setting. As such, nothing happened, and they've become completely sold on the idea that there's just nothing that can be done as a result. Even though in the same city, a small group of hockey fans started a chant at Acrisure Stadium to get Matt Canada fired in mid-season. Oh, that'll never happen. The Steelers never, ever, ever do that. They don't fire coaches, especially not in mid-season. Guess who got fired at mid-season? Why? Too much public pressure. It was affecting the field of play. They were all out there listening to it. Hockey fans in an actual hockey arena didn't like the way Ron Hextall was running the roster into the ground. Started fire Hextall chants over the final 2 or 3 games of a season. Representatives of ownership were in the house. They heard it. He heard it. Everyone heard it. Why? Because it was real. It wasn't virtual. What happened to Hextall? The morning after the final game of the season, he was gone. So what you have here, Kinger, is a combination of, thinking that the online stuff or the social media stuff is more important than it is. And that's especially true, by the way, of Twitter or X, which only has a 17% market penetration in the United States, and people act like it's the be-all and end-all, and it's the only thing that matters. 17% is the market penetration of X in the United States. Whereas, if you look at these people who got together and who made signs and who marched, and sooner, I believe, rather than later, there's going to be some kind of billboard somewhere aimed at selling the team. And the last time anybody shared information with me about that, the amount of money that had been put together was over $10,000. That'll buy you a whole lot of billboard. And then there's some other plans, other initiatives that I've just heard only in passing. But it's easier to just sit on your couch and make fun of it. And that's all it is. That's all this is, Kinger. There's people just sitting on their couches pretending that the entire world is Twitter or X. Why is that? I believe you put it harshly enough. You beat me to it. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates, and we're going to do another one of these tomorrow in which I will take like the Georgian elections and turn it into just this big international news show or something.